In our last two videos, we've been working through the process of building a new, beautiful swamp for Sadie the saddle-bill stork to live in. Join me today as we do the amazing washout. You will be astounded with how good it looks. Hey guys, welcome back to Frances Quilts. As I said in the intro, today is the big day for washing out that Vilene. Now, if you've been following along this process, you know on day one, in the first video, we laid down bits and pieces of thread and wool roving and all sorts of stuff onto the water-soluble Vilene. On day two, we did a whole bunch of stitching to hold all of those little bits and pieces together. And today is the big reveal. We're gonna wash out all of that Vilene, all of the fabric-y part that's there, and all that's gonna be left is the thread and all of the bits and pieces that we've added to it. So are you ready to see it? Let's go. This is how it looked when I had finished all of the stitching. Remember that this is being stitched on that Vilene. I think it looks really good. Up close you can see a little bit more detail in it. You can see some of the little bits and pieces that I have thrown down there. Obviously those are encased in the paper right now. When I got ready to do the washout, I drew a bath of warmish water with some Dawn soap in it and put that piece in. And believe me, there was a little bit of fear and trepidation in doing this. I tucked it under the soap bubbles and let it sit for about 15 minutes. Now it was time to take my hands and swish it around. And again, this was scary because I'm thinking, what's going to happen to all of those threads? I needed to wring it out, and so the only way I could think of doing that was just to put it into a ball and wring it, and that's what it looked like. But look at how gorgeous it is. I've now taken it out of that little ball and laid it out on a towel to dry just a little bit, and I think that looks magnificent. But let's see what it looks like on the actual piece that I had painted, and I absolutely love that. Let's explore it further. I love the threads. You can see the areas that I'd kind of made the threads in a line. You can see those going through there. There are a few holes in it that are fine because that's just where the threads didn't connect as well. But those are okay because that's just leaving areas for the paint underneath to show a little bit better. My biggest concern is that it is not tall enough. Obviously, I'm not covering all of the painted areas that I had on there, and I felt like I needed all of those areas to be able to give Sadie a proper home. So I was a little concerned about that. I decided to take off that line of stay stitching that I had put at the top and the bottom. And already, even with just half of it done, you can see that it is starting to spread out some. Not so much in the length, but on the width. You can see that it's starting to just to spread there. I removed the bottom line of stitching as well. And the lace immediately got much wider. You can see it just keeps getting wider and wider the more I play with it. I ended up cutting off those little bits off of the side where it had extended over the painted area. And I started thinking, could I take those little bits and put them down on the fabric and fill in those areas down there? It's a messy process already. I don't think you're really going to see those little things that are left over there. So I played with it for a minute and decided, yeah, it should work. But first, let's get it just sewn down as much as we can. So I put some pins in the big piece. I took all those little pieces off and put some pins in the big piece just to hold it in place. And then it was time to go to the sewing machine. I am taking off my free motion foot. The reason is that all of those little ridges right there, that open toe, those little hooks are going to get stuck in that lace. So I switched over to my applique foot, which is a bowl, and it will definitely will keep the needle from getting caught in the lace as I'm stitching. So I just started stitching. I'm kind of working on the top area. I want to make sure it is stitched down well. I'm doing the same stitching motion that I was doing when I was doing the thread painting, just to make sure that thread lace is down and in place. Just making sure that it's kind of flat, trying to get all of the little dips and things out of it. And from where I'm looking, I love how it looks. I just continued on, working my way down the piece. When I got to the bottom, I took some of those little bits that I had and I just started placing them along that edge. I decided to place them on top of the edge because if you look there next to my left hand, you see that there's a pretty straight line right there, and I was trying to avoid that. So I decided I would use some of these little bits that I'm adding on at the bottom here just to cover up that line. So that's what I'm doing here, just putting a couple of them in place to see how they're going to look. Set up to do some more stitching. And off we went again. This time stitching down and stitching over those extra pieces that are there, just including them in the project and making them look like they actually fit there. Continuing over and adding the left-hand piece to that as well. Sometimes I'd see an area that I hadn't gotten stitched down really well, so I'd run back over there and do a little more on it. If there were areas that were a little more open, like this one you're seeing, I just added more thread in there. It's not going to matter if it's part of the lace or if it's part of the thread that I use putting it down with. Getting close to the end now, just adding all those little pieces. And this is how it looks. I am absolutely thrilled with that. It just looks very natural, and I think it will be a wonderful meadow for Sadie to live in. Isn't that amazing? I am so pleased with how the grass looks. I love all the little bits and pieces that are stuck in it. I love how the wool roving gave some shadows behind the lace. I just think it looks great. Now I still have a whole lot more to go because there's several more sections of this to work on, but I'm just very, very pleased with how this looks. Much of the process of finishing up Sadie is not actually on video. So I'm going to encourage you to go to my blog at francesquilts.com/blog to get more information. I'm giving some detailed blog post about the things that I did to finish Sadie's background. I think there's another video at one point with dyeing cheesecloth. I had a lot of fun doing that, so stick around for that. But please go to my blog and be sure and subscribe to it so that you'll be, again, notified when new blog posts come out. This has been just such a fantastic opportunity to learn something new and to try something new. I've had a blast. I hope you're enjoying it too. So that's it for the video. As I said, be sure and go to my blog and subscribe there so that you can get all of the details. Thank you so much for joining me here today, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Frances Quilts.
Remember, if you like what you've seen, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please check out my website and daily blog at francesquilts.com, and I can be found on Facebook and Instagram at Frances Quilts. Thanks so much for joining me. Hope to see you again soon.